We're now going to clarify the theory assignments. Now in your folders you'll find 7 main theory assignments you need to complete. Now with these assignments you need to work through it. Maybe you haven't done much training or much writing since you were maybe at school. Others of you may have done quite a lot. Now with these assignments, what you first need to do is to write the actual question at the top of the page. And not only will this help you as you're continuing the assignment, but also when we're doing the internal and external verification, it makes it much clearer. So write the question at the top of the sheet, read it thoroughly, make sure you fully understand it, maybe make notes on what the actual question is asking. If it's asking for practical examples, put those down. So if you make little notes on what you're going to be doing. What you also want to do is make sure you fully understand the subject. So you would have done the reading beforehand, maybe reread that section inside the student manual. You might want to do some research with other books or on the internet, so you fully understand it. Then take the question and make some notes on how you think you're going to be answering that question. So look at how it's going to apply to you. Now questions are all very well, you just write a standard question down, but we need to apply it to your world of teaching. If you're already teaching, this could be quite straightforward. If you're doing this course because you want to teach, then apply it to the world of teaching that you're going to be doing. There's a few rules with the actual assignments. You'll see some basic word counts. Now these are just an idea. If it says 150 to 250 words, or if you want to do more, you can do more. They're just a guide. The other thing is they've got to be answered in essay format. So what you'd normally do is you'd word process these on your computer, type them all up, because you can then always edit them later on. And you don't want to be answering them as a series of bullet points, or just a series of, one part of it and then answer that and then answer just a couple of lines of questions. Write a proper paragraphed essay. So as you're looking through it, start working your way through, get some answers down on paper. And if you're doing this before you've come along to the main training course or part of the distance course, then get the answers down, at least have a go of assignment 1. So once you've done assignment 1, you can email that across to us and then we can see how you do. You'll probably find you've done really well on it. If not, we might give you some pointers on what to do. Now just because you finished it and we say, yep, that's okay, you've done really well, don't stop there. Revisit that, particularly while you're on the course or if you're doing a distance course when you come back to do your final day and your micro teach. Reread the question, add more to it or change things slightly. Because the more you learn, the better you can start to do the assignments. If we have a look at some of the assignments individually. Now the first one of the assignments in the book, it says, describe what your role, responsibility and boundaries would be as a teacher in terms of the teacher training cycle. Recommended word count for this is around about 300 to 500 words. What we're looking here is you need to break those down into individual sections. So first part of it here, describe your role. So describe basically what your role is within the teaching, what responsibilities you have, and what boundaries you have to abide by. Now, things like boundaries might well be the physical room you're teaching, the time you're allowed, the types of people you're working with. Responsibilities can be, your roles within your teaching sector, and what your role is, what your actual job is, and how you need to get that information across. Final part of it says it would be in relation to the terms of the teacher training cycle. So look up the teacher training cycle, apply what you're saying to that, so you make sure you fully answer the question. You might find you write it and you might have too many words. Maybe you can just make sure you're not repeating something or make sure what you've written is good English. Don't worry if you write too much. Once you've got that, get that to us. Most important is just get something done first off, and you're probably quite surprised at the actual result there. Once you've done the first one, you can move on to the other ones if you want, or at least get some notes down before you hear back from us. We'll try and get back to you as quick as we can. We can't promise it'll always be the same day. We will try and get back to you within a day or a few days after you've submitted it through. If you hadn't heard from us for after a while, then contact us. It may well be that the email hasn't actually arrived. The email address you're sending things through to is tutor@petals-train-the-trainer.co.uk. That email is also quoted in the front of your folder. The second question on here is identify key aspects of current legislative requirement and codes of practice relevant to your subject and type of organisation within which you would like to work. Recommended word count 150 to 250 words. That's a slightly shorter one here, but you need to apply this to your world. What we want to see is you actually learning the subject, but also applying it to how you're going to be starting teaching. So don't just make quick notes or basically just read the book and almost copy that. That's not what we're after. We want to see that you've learned the subject and applied it to your world of teaching or your proposed world of teaching. Other questions here: explain how you could promote inclusion, equality and diversity with your current or future learners. Identify points of referral available to meet the potential needs of the learners. This is a 200 to 300 word assignment. Within this one here, we really want to look at how you can make sure that everyone is included in the lesson, how you're not discriminating against people. So give real examples of how you're going to apply this information in your world of teaching. You may well need to put a little bit of thought into it. Look at some examples and read the books and just have a little bit of a thought on it. Fourth question, explain the ways in which you would establish ground rules with your learners which underpin behaviour and respect of others, 150 to 250 words. Now, ground rules are very important with any type of teaching. This is where you set the basic rules down at the very beginning. Turning mobile phones off onto silent, not talking over others, and where your breaks are, things like this. And these are quite flexible. Now, see what ground rules you can apply in your workplace. It may be you start teaching, when you're actually teaching a course for a company, they have rules you have to lay down as well. It may be that you have to wear certain safety equipment, you're not allowed to go to certain areas. So put as much thought and again apply it to your world of teaching. Question 5 is explain ways to embed elements of functional skills in your specialist area, 200 to 300 words. And functional skills, you may think these are difficult to put in. It might be an example within, we're teaching first aid, for example. Functional skills can be things like maths. And you could be looking at calculating volume in the body to compressions per minute and things like this to try and put basic functional skills into your main assignments, and into your main lesson. So have a look at how you're going to apply this information in your world. Question 6 is explain the need for keeping records and describe the types of records you would maintain. Now, within the records, there are going to be all sorts. There may be HSE requirements within the first aid sector. It may well be that you have to keep other records within COSH or proof of training. You may need to have your awarding bodies records. But also the records that you keep, they need to be covered by the Data Protection Act. So maybe refer back to that, how you're going to keep them, how you're going to store them, also what records you're going to keep and how long you're going to keep, and also why you're going to keep these records. Final question is state the different assessment methods available and explain the ones you would use for your subject area, including reference to initial assessment. State the types of assessment records you would complete and explain why. So here we're looking at the main sort of assessing. So the initial assessments you may well do before they come on the course. Within the Battles course, you fill in a base form before you come along, so we've got a rough idea of that you're actually okay, your basic English skills are okay to carry on the course. Other sorts of assessments you're going to do, well, continuous assessments, practical assessments, maybe you're doing assessments at the end of the course, things like this. So have a good think on that. Make sure you fully understand all the methods of assessment before you try and answer the question. So to summarise all that, get these down on word processor, get them to us beforehand so we can have a look through them if possible. In some cases this isn't possible. If you're doing the full course, you will have time on the course to do some work in the lesson, and also if you've done them already, you get time to fine-tune them. After every single assignment, you'd also have to do a learning journal. So you can do that again in the lesson, or why not have a go with those beforehand? Those you can just pen write and fill in. And the learning journal you'll find straight after the question sheet. And here it's just a record of each of the assignments you've written. So you're going to keep a complete 7 of these in total. The main points I've learned while studying. So what have you actually learned from this particular one subject? And also how I have developed as a result of this. So how have you changed and how are you going to change? So every assignment has a learning journal. If you can try and get those done before you come along, great. If not, I say we will give you time. If you are on a distance course, you will have to get all this done before you come and do your final micro teach day. If you have any questions at all on the assignments, then drop us an email and we'll get those answered, or you can give us a call through on the usual number.